looking back at all these conventions, from NCO7 and going back all the way to the 1980s, 1990s when the first one started, you kind of realize how we've grown over these 30 years. In the 1980s and 1990s, we only had a handful of centers that you can count with your fingers. And so the attendance was maybe a few hundred youth. And at that time, we didn't have these core planning teams or all these specialized departments to put together a program. There were volunteers across the nation who would be available, and they put together what they could.
So 2007 was, of course, a big year for youth conventions. But youth conventions, in some form, had been happening for almost 20 years prior to that, 1984 being the first one in Chicago. Now, it wasn't a convention at that time. It was 100 people from across North America, so a summer camp or a small gathering, if you will. But that was really the first time. And then periodically through the 1990s, we were having small gatherings of this sort as well, every couple of years.
If you remember, 96 was the Adhivesion where Swami personally gave the trophies to all the delegates. So it was filled with intimate moments with Pramukh Swami Maharaj. And if you ask any of those youths who grew up in the 80s or 90s, I can almost guarantee they'd all say that was their golden years in satsang with Pramukh Swami.
Yeah, and then come like the turn of the century and the early 2000s, everything scaled up. The attendance, grew exponentially. We had to look for venues, large venues. I think this is when we kind of first started the word convention now, starting in 2000 with Perry, because we just needed more space. We needed more volunteers.
2000 was really the first large youth convention when thousands of youth and children from across North America came together in Perry, Georgia for a couple of weeks where they were able to spend time with Pramukh Swami Maharaj and other kids that were very similar to themselves across North America. I was fortunate enough to be a child that attended that convention, and that was for me personally a momentous occasion, a life-changing convention, because not only did I have real personal relationship moments with Pramukh Swami Maharaj, but I was able to meet other children that were very similar to me from across North America that I could develop friendships with.
And it was very simple, the setting was very simple, but Pramukh Swami Maharaj went out of his way to connect to all of the youths by giving and making memories. And so we celebrated every major Hindu festival with our guru, be it Diwali, be it Holi and Fuldol. We were there with him, and through these episodes we felt a connection with him. And in 2004, those memories carried over not only to certain festivals, but also through certain other types of incidences. So there were moments where we had a Padramani with Pramukh Swami Maharaj as he was coming into our homes. And so 2000 and 2004 were a lot about creating memories and episodes.
So 2013 was the year where we actually had a convention right here in Atlanta, right at this mandir site actually. And Mahan Swami Maharaj himself was actually present throughout that entire convention. It was a very memorable convention. The theme of the tagline was "My Life with Swami Shri," or "My Life with Bapa," or Pramukh Swami Maharaj. And the whole concept of the convention was to help kids and children understand that they have a relationship with Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and what their relationship with the Guru can give to them in their life, how it can help them progress in their life. There might be challenges throughout one's life journey where one has to make a decision that you don't know which way to go. There's pros and cons, and you might need help during that time. One of the most memorable aspects of that convention was actually on one of the last days of the convention, where we were to have an outdoor program right in front of the mandir here in the pond. And it was supposed to be a grand finale program. Unfortunately, just as the program was to begin, it started to rain. And it rained tremendously for just a few minutes, but all the kids were sitting there, and Swami Maharaj was just to come out. And it rained on the kids themselves, actually. And so we all ran inside temporarily for a few minutes as the rain subsided. And we came back out, but because it had rained and all the AV equipment and all the arti and everything that had been set up, the grand finale program wasn't able to go on in the way it was intended to do initially.
The most recent convention was in 2018 in Atlanta, Georgia. By now, the conventions had gotten so large that finding a venue was a challenge. Swami Maharaj was remotely present from Saranpur, India. Not only did he watch all the programming, but he also participated by video in the programming. The unique thing about this convention was the programming was next level. There was a use of modern day technology and methods to deliver a production quality that was quite impressive. And it was all youth that had spent months, if not years, to develop the content, the programming, and to deliver it.
Your thought is my word, your word is my life. This rope that connects us is tied for life.
આપણે આ ગજેન્દ્રની વાત છે એમાં તો મુખ્ય ગજેન્દ્ર છે આપણે છીએ અને મગર છે એ માયા છે માયા આપણે પકડી રાખી છે અને આપણે યુદ્ધ ચાલ્યા જ કરે છે હજારો વર્ષથી અને છૂટવાનું કારણ તો મહારાજ ભગવાનનું શરણનું.
Every conference, every convention that we held, the technology capabilities evolved over time, and so there were more capabilities that were available to us. But ultimately, it was the values and the insights that made up that program. Without the Satpurush and the presence of the Satpurush, be it digital, virtual, or spiritual, these conferences would be meaningless for all of the attendees.
One of the things that we realize in planning these conventions is that when you give people a good experience, they're more likely to come back. The content could be great, but if their delegate experience outside of the content is lousy, they may not come back the next time. Something that I can say with confidence is that for the thousands upon thousands of people who attended these conventions, we brought them closer to their own culture, to their faith, and to their guru. What more could you ask for?
I think the whole Shibir for the Balamandir was really a great success. I mean, the Bardaks enjoyed it. Swami Shri was in great health, great love to the Bardaks. But at the same time, I think when the Bardaks go back home, there has to be some type of follow-up to make sure that this message and all the happiness that they enjoyed with Bapa is still relived day by day.
So these conventions, were very large endeavors and certainly had very impactful and meaningful and lasting experiences and memories for many people. But in between these large conventions, there was regular routine, day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month youth activities that were ongoing. And this really tied it all together.
Yogiji Maharaj's vision was that children and youth should have a forum. They should have sabhas. That was radical. That was visionary at that time.
I'm fortunate enough actually to be a product of BAPS North American Youth Activities. From the time I was a little kid to the time I finished college, I actually went through the whole spectrum of youth activities, and I personally benefited. Going to youth activities on a week-to-week basis, you develop a network of friends that you can then rely upon lifelong. You develop mentors that can help guide you whenever you come across challenging aspects throughout your life journey. You learn what the guru has in mind for you and how you can use the guru's teachings to make your life better.
And it's only because this organization makes the effort to take complex Hindu concepts and dilute them down into messagings that can resonate with these kids that has allowed my son to stay attached to our religion. Because it's a well-known fact that across North America, there are 99 reasons why a person can have something more important to do than go to a Sunday service at a temple. It could be games, it could be sports activities, it could be birthday parties, it could be clubs that they have to participate in for school. But to engender that sense of commitment and sacrifice of those activities for the temple, for spiritualism, only happens because we have these youth activities.
Culture, belonging, learning, values are not things that just happen overnight. So this kind of like how we have an education system, the mandir really provided that values, character, and cultural education. And it happened consistently every week, every Sunday. It started with the micro unit of going to the sabha at the local mandir.
This day and age, and while we were growing up, you face it. You face people asking you, aren't you a little embarrassed to be an Indian in America? Or why are you doing arati? Or why are you doing puja? But it was never shameful because of what we learned at mandir and how we should be proud of that.
To grow up with what was just felt like a sisterhood. We felt like each other's cousins. We would play together, run around together, go through different life phases together. So it was just a really special sisterhood.
One of the biggest things that I think Brahma Sai Maharaj has given us, and that we take it for granted, is this satsang community. And that's another big thing that has kept me motivated personally from the time I came till now. It's the friends at mandir.
We were able to use this community, this satsang community, this spiritual community, to help ourselves lead more fulfilling spiritual lives that would be very difficult to do without the Satpurush present, without this platform that was established for us to thrive.
One of the most unique aspects of youth activities in North America is swamis. Swamis who are born and raised in America. And they've been present in the fabric of North American youth activities since 1996. These swamis know the language the youth speak in, the culture that they're immersed in, their lifestyle, and their challenges.
It makes a big difference. And because they're here, they are then able to scale beyond what we're able to do. Like, we don't have time to jump from city to city, center to center, and give days and weeks and months of our lives in order to help develop the activities there and help develop the people there. Having someone whose role, whose responsibility it is to go and inspire others, motivate others to put in the same time, effort, energy that we may be putting in. That's, there needs to be a whole engine to drive that. And those swamis that have come here and stayed here are really that engine.
Without a question, the single most success factor for all youth activities in BAPS for the past 50 years was strengthening the bond between the Satpurush and the youth. The Guru made the effort, and the youth reciprocated. And everything follows from that.
What really stands out to me is how Pramukh Swami Maharaj made space for us in every single place he visited. There was always one day that was dedicated to the youth in every center that Pramukh Swami Maharaj was in.
Some of the Kishoris and Yuvtis had very personal concerns or conflicts at an emotional level that they were experiencing, and they actually penned a letter. And in next day morning, before Swami Shri's puja, this Hari Bhakt or the male volunteer came with the reply from Swami. And he actually, in the busyness of everything, he actually penned the personal response to that youth's conflict.
There's been low points in my life where I've been able to write just a letter and, expecting a letter to come back in weeks and then magically just getting a call overnight saying like, hey, I just read your letter and I wanted to talk to you about it right away. Like that type of attention to something that's bothering me, to say like, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and call him instead of him waiting for a response, is like the types of things that our Guru has done. Like, just being there when you're at your lowest.
His goal was always, we play the long game. That means we have to create needle-sized shifts. Those small shifts will alter a person's trajectory over their life. And because that was his approach, he would try everything in his power to ensure that somehow, some way, he could connect with those people.
Always, કે ભગવાનની સાથે આપણે એ છે કે I will always be with you. એ ભગવાનને માટે આપણે કહીએ છીએ, પણ આપણે બધાને બસ એટલે કહેવાનો આપણે આ ભાવ રાખવાનો છે કે આપણે ભગવાન આપણી સાથે છે ને છે જ, ગુરુ પણ આપણી સાથે છે.
Our gurus became like us to teach us. They did not expect us to improve in just one day. It was all about taking small steps to get there.
He would come every 2 years, and subtly he was getting us ready for projects that were bigger and bigger and bigger. So it was almost kind of a guide that you were just unconsciously a part of a learning, and you were doing things you didn't even think you could ever do.
When Mahant Swami Maharaj came, the things he is ready to do to connect with the kids, whether it's a live video feed from India to Atlanta during a national convention, or whether it's the simple act of making a heart shape, that stuck with kids, whether they are boys or girls, to see your spiritual leader make a symbol of love and attachment that really sticks with you, is something that they can take home and be inspired about.
Some people think that the way you interact with youth is by being their friend. Some say that the way to interact with youth is by being a teacher. Some say that the way to interact with youth is by acting like a parent. Some say it's by being a guru, a guide. It isn't any of those. It's all of them.
You see, they all blamed Kishore youngsters. Yogi Abba શું કહે છે, યુવકોમાં હૃદય છે. Just imagine કેટલી hopes and કેટલું he saw in them, great potentiality. પોતાનું હૃદય સમા ગળ્યા, કેટલું દુઃખ કહેવાય. તેથી કેટલા હોપ, જબ આખા હિન્દુસ્તાન તે વખતે, in fact throughout the world, no one has any hope. They don't think that our country will be saved. But Yogi Appa had that hope.
One of the things that struck me about these conventions, both as a delegate and as a volunteer, is that even though they're mass events, Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Man Swami Maharaj interacted on a one-on-one basis with the delegates and with the volunteers. And I think this is a microcosm of why the Sanstha has grown so much in the last 50 years. It is the one-on-one interaction that Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Man Swami Maharaj have had with everyone that they've met. That genuine interaction with people, that they genuinely care about the people that they are interacting with. That has caused, in my opinion, the Sanstha to grow. And I think all of us have learned from that.
Almost every aspect of my life today, personal life, family life, my morals, my mindset, my spiritual life, has been the result of my involvement in some type of youth activities in BAPS.
Even today, as an adult, as a husband, a father, the lessons that I learned being a participant in BAPS youth activities in North America still play a role in my life on a day-to-day basis. Particularly, that's very true with my professional life. You know, I'm a physician, I'm a doctor. The lessons of time management, the lessons of organizational ability, the emotional intelligence that we learn from not only being a participant but also volunteering for BAPS youth activities are all key values that I rely upon on a day-to-day basis in my professional career today.
I met a youth once who said, "Hey, I'm the president of the National Honor Society in my school," and he called me from one of the conventions he was at, and then he goes, that whatever I have learned to lead this group right now, that leadership is the biggest quality I've picked up from coming to mandir and learning it from youth activities.
And so I found through every aspect of my life, professional, personal, spiritual, familial, even with my friends, I find through every aspect of my life that these lessons have made me the person I am today. I can draw a direct line from every success, every victory in my life to something that I've learned from and experienced with Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Man Swami Maharaj.
So that year in 6th grade, we were learning about Hinduism. So the teacher started to explain that Brahm is the divine force and supreme, but in reality, Parabrahm is. So I caught that little mistake, and the next day I asked the teacher if I could present in class a little short presentation. So she said yes. So the next day I prepared a few slides and did a small presentation. So the first thing I talked about was the 5 eternal entities and how Brahm is actually not the divine force and Parabrahm is. And I explained to them that this body isn't just meant to do worldly things. It's meant to do spiritual activities.
One of the things that I gained specifically from the Seva, and it has helped me throughout my entire volunteer experience with the organization, is the ability to have patience, the ability to empathize with others, to put myself in other people's shoes. And these are central tenets to what our faith teaches us. This is central to what Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Man Swami Maharaj have taught us.
I learned to stay calm, and that's something that I often get complimented on as a soft skill in my legal profession today. And that's something I directly attribute to my guru, my satsang, as well as my volunteering.
I have been in the Marine Corps for 21 years now. It's a big part of who I've become, and it's helped mold me, as well as satsang has helped mold me to be very proficient and excel in the military as well.
So in 2004 in Whittier, my dad and I got a chance to go on stage and meet Bapa. He put one hand on my shoulder, and then he put one hand on my dad's arm. And then that's when he looks at me and he said, "You've done a lot of seva, you've done a lot of satsang." My dad obviously is a little bit physically disabled. And then he looks at me and he's like, "Hey, and now it's your turn to take this on. It's your turn to take that torch and then continue doing what you guys have already been doing for 3 generations."
There are many times where I felt like I found myself in kind of in the storm, in the midst of the storm. It's never been the case, it's not been the case for me certainly, that my life has been on the consistent up or that my trajectory has been consistent. And in those turbulent situations, so much has gotten shaken. My faith in God, my belief, my observance of niyams, of strictures, my practice, my spiritual practice, my personal relationships, my professional relationships. But one thing I found myself constantly connected to was my love for Pramukh Sai Maharaj and the confidence I had based on my experience of his love for me. And that love always connected me back and always brought me back. And it's a remarkable thing, Pramukh Sai Maharaj, and the connection that I and so many youth have had with him, where through those downs, he's been the source that has lifted us back up. He's been the wind behind our sails that has propelled us forward again.
In the past 50 years, BAPS in North America has been able to harness the power and energy of youth into constructive and creative endeavors.
But he also knew that this was not enough. His blueprint for Hinduism in America included a multi-generational solution. What was needed was something that guaranteed continuity and connectedness. He had one more vision for America, and it was also his mission.